Welcome to the Unshakeable Talks with me, Katy. This is where we lift the lid on what entrepreneurs are really going through. The struggles, the myths, the mistakes, and the things we've been sold to. This is where we talk about how we balance business and life. This isn't another podcast teaching strategy. This is where we talk about the raw, real truth about female entrepreneurship and what it really means to run a business and life and combine both of them together. Running a business as a woman isn't harder, it's just different. And it's time we talk about this. There is no cap on what we can achieve, because behind every business, there's the stuff no one dares to talk out loud. Welcome to the Straight Talk sessions. So today I want to talk about what everyone tells you to do when running a business. Guess what it is? Hire a team. You can't do it all on your own. You need some help. You need to take someone to take XYZ off you so you can have a bit of time on your own. Why do you work so much? Why don't you get someone in to do those tasks for you? People associate with a successful business with having a big team and a lot of staff. And I have certainly fell into that trap. Having said that, I wouldn't say I fell into this trap. I was kind of almost forced into this trap because my business just exploded and I really wasn't ready for it. So today I like to tell you a little bit more about my experience and the mistakes I've made and the mistakes I don't want you to make, really. That's the gist of it. So when it comes to hiring a team, I think one of the mistakes we all make, we're not really clear on what we're hiring for. So we think, for instance, okay, there's so many clients' calls coming in a day, which was in my case. My phones didn't stop ringing, so which meant I had to answer a lot of phone calls, which took the time away for me to do other things like general admin stuff, social media, advertising, anything. So I really felt, okay, if I hire someone to take this off me, that would make a big difference. That would give me a bit of time back. So I went the usual route. I hired an admin staff for this originally particular task. And I thought, okay, if I hire someone, then she can do some other admin stuff as well. But I wasn't really clear on what I wanted that person to do. So I hired someone. I hired someone as just an admin help. Then I needed, obviously, someone for recruitment. Hired someone again. She did have a recruitment background for the recruitment. So every person I've hired looked very good on paper. So it's that really good CV. I mean, we've been taught in school how to write a really good CV, which gets you into the door. Everyone was selling themselves really well to me as well. But what really crystallizes out quite quickly in the process of me having, in the end, 5 office staffs for various different tasks is that I was micromanaging a lot. So I was micromanaging my staff so much that in hindsight, actually, I could have done myself at least 50 to 60% of the work. If I would have done it myself, I would have done it better and I would have gotten it done quicker. So I spent all this money on wages and all the other things which come with it, employment, contribution and all of this for nothing really. And I always thought, why is this? Why can't I find someone who can do this very simple job? I mean, let's face it, answering a couple of emails, answering a phone call, it's not that difficult. You don't have to be the smartest tool in the box to do that. And I'm saying this with no disrespect to anyone who does this role. But actually, if I'm being really honest here, the problem wasn't really them. The problem was me. And for a couple of reasons. One really important reason is I wasn't really clear on what I'm hiring for. So I was hiring out of desperation at the time. I was hiring out of the mentality and the mindset I had and what people said to me around me. They said, you just get someone in to do your emails, just get someone in to do the phone calls so you can concentrate on XYZ, which sounded really good at the time. And because in my head, it was a very simple task, I just hired someone. I didn't really hire for a role. I hired for a task. And you don't need a person, even if they're part-time, to do one task or two tasks. You need to really be clear on what you're hiring for. What is that position? What are they meant to be doing? What benefit are they actually bringing to your business and to your thing? And that cannot just be time. It cannot just buy you time. It needs to be a very valued benefit to your business and to your business growth. So that's the first thing I really went wrong with. The other thing, what we tend to do is when we hire cheap. And I know this is a subject, okay, but Katy, I can't afford to pay X, Y, Z, and the minimum wage is enough, and I don't earn some months that money, and all of this. I know those thoughts, I have had them, and I hire cheap a lot, but you get what you pay for. So unskilled staff is the biggest pain of your life, or will be the biggest pain of your life. I really strongly had a belief now, because I had to learn the hard way. You're better off having one or two members of staff, but really quality staff, pay them really well, instead of having a larger team. The staff retention is much better then as well, because if we're really being honest, unless you're really, really unskilled and you can't really find another job, you're just taking a low-paid job, if it would be you, as a stepping stone. You're just taking it because you need to get some money in until the next thing comes around, which means your staff is not going to stay with you. And that means more work for you, because you have to start the recruitment process again. You have to start training again. You have to start finding that person again. You then also have someone to measure against the next person, because you already had a member of staff who've done those tasks for you. Maybe not perfectly, but they still set a standard, whatever that standard may be. So it becomes a constant hamster wheel. It's a constant hamster wheel, which takes your attention away from growing your business, actually. So really think about, if you are at the stage within your business where you think, I need more time for, it doesn't matter what it is, if it's to rest, for private time, to grow your business, whatever that point is, really think about, do you really need more time? Do you really need that person to do that particular task? And how does this role look like? If you have no systems in place which can clearly document what those tasks are and what that role entails, you don't need another member of staff. You need to get really a lot of clarity on what you need to run your business. And I know I'm repeating myself here, but it's so, so important. And I've made this mistake, oh my God, a million times, if I'm being honest. I mean, it cost me thousands, absolutely thousands. But taking all of this aside, the next thing, which is quite close to my heart, is, how are you actually as an employer? What makes a good employer? So for me, a little bit of a backstory. Guess what? I used to be employed when I was younger, obviously, like most of us entrepreneurs. And I didn't really feel valued as an employee. I didn't have a good experience. I wasn't treated very well. And looking back, I probably harbored a lot of resentment throughout that time. My husband would say I've never been really good in obeying with authority. And there's probably truth to that. I like to have it my own way, if I'm being honest. But my experience as being as an employee as a young girl wasn't really good. So what it really did to me is it ingrained this belief that I have to be a really good employer. I have to be really nice, really kind, really accommodating, and I have to bend back and forth for my employees to actually make them want to stay with me. So I did everything. I mean, we could talk for hours about the things I've done for my employees. And if any of them are listening to this episode, they will know. I mean, I was accommodating any of their appointments, as stupid as they were always got time off. I always juggled the calendar, especially if it was someone with a child, because I obviously was a mum myself, and I didn't have a network around me, so I could very much relate to their struggles. So I was bending back and forwards. I had an employee which happened to be, I almost associated my younger self with her. So I always saw my younger self in that particular employee, and I just wanted her to have it easy, I suppose. I guess you could say it like this. So I've made allowances. I've always made allowances. I've always kind of looked the other way when things didn't go that great. I always accepted every kind of excuse which came my way. And I saw this as being a good employee. I mean, I also, which comes again, with hiring people, the employment law and how things are in Germany are very different. So how I grew up, for example, one little thing, within general employment, you would get Christmas money and you would get a holiday bonus. So twice a year in Germany, you would get a bonus, which is an extra wage. So at Christmas time, you get double wage. And in the summer, usually June or July, you would get a double wage. So I thought, that's a great incentive. Don't do that over here, really. And let's do this. Let's offer this to all of my employees. And obviously, they were happy about it, but it wasn't good for my cash flow and for my bank balance. But I thought things like this, and that's just an example of many, but I really thought things like this will make them stay with me, will make them have the same attitude towards my business and my mission and my vision for the business. But here's the truth. They don't care. All they care about is the paycheck. And there's nothing wrong with this. Absolutely not. But you as an employer or an employer to be, you really have to understand this. You really have to be crystal clear of what your position is as an employer. They are there to do a job and to get a paycheck every month. They're working for you because they want to be in this secure employment situation where they get sick pay, where they get holiday pay, where they know that what's coming in every single month. They will not relate to your struggles as a business owner. It's as simple as that. And I know you probably think, yeah, but if I do X, Y, Z, it will be different. It will not be different. I had to really learn this the hard way, and I do not want anyone who's listening to this make that mistake. If you're at the point where you have staff and you can relate to some of the things I'm saying, please know it's completely normal. I wish I would have had someone back then who said, actually, Katy, it's not you. It's not you failing. It's not you doing it the wrong way. It's just normal. So this trying to be a good employer is obviously, look, there's a balance to be struck here. You have to be a good person, have to kind of play by your morals and all of this. And there are a lot of really bad employers out there, and I'm not condoning it at all. But you don't have to bend backwards and forwards for your employees. You really have to understand this is your business, this is your vision, this is where your passion comes in. This is your dream, what you're building. For them, it's a paycheck. And that's okay. The other thing I really need you to think about is how you hire. Coming back to the money point of view, real leadership really means to acknowledge when you do things wrong. So when you go for the period of hiring someone cheaper and you see it not working out, or you maybe, what I have done in the beginning, I have always hired for the minimum wage and said after the probationary period, we can increase your wage, which I've always done, not by a lot, because I couldn't at the time, because I had so many staff. Really be crystal clear. Can you actually deliver what you're promising your employees? Because again, we're coming back. This is what meeting expectations. So it works both ways. It's not just about can your employee you hire, looks perfect on paper, match your expectations of them. It's also about can you match expectations for your employee? And I really struggle to deliver what I've promised at times because I didn't anticipate all those problems coming my way. Again, it was because I wasn't really clear on what I really, really needed at the time. And one other thing which is really important to really think about when you're hiring people is the trap of favoritism and over-reliance on someone. So I fell into this trap many, 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 many times. And it all roots from all the other things I have mentioned just before. But think about and be really honest with yourself. How are you treating your employees if you have a number of employees? I have definitely treated employees differently. And it's completely normal. It's completely, look, if there's someone who's easy to work with, who just gets things done, who does them, you will always naturally give them more work. You will always give them the work which needs to be done. In my case, I had cleaners who didn't mind doing the overtime. They were like, and if I called them at 6:30 in the morning, they were at the office at 7 a.m., ready to clean, ready to cover the jobs, even if they had the day off. So what did I do? I naturally, obviously, favoritized them by giving them the bigger jobs. When we got bigger contracts in, where you rather going from job to job and had to have stay at one job for a whole day and no travel time in between, I would allocate those girls to those jobs because I knew they're showing up. It's going to be easy for me. I don't have to worry about does it get done or not. But what it actually does is it sends a signal to the rest of the team. And it sends a signal almost of like, well, what's the point? What's the point of trying? She is favoritizing X, Y, Z anyways. So you really need to be really careful about this. The other thing I've done is, just to give one example out of many, many, many examples, I've got far too close to some of my employees. Because they were young girls, a lot of them, and very close to my daughter's age at times. And again, I wanted to give them as much opportunity as possible, and opportunity equals money in that case. I let some of the employees get really close to me and to my private life. I had some employees involved with looking after my daughter, for example, because at the time it was easy for me. They were checked. I had them reference checked, criminal record checked. I trusted them. They worked with me. I felt they have a moral obligation to me because if they do wrong there, they will lose their job. And all of this was so in my head, it sounded like a great idea. Perfect idea. She wants some extra hours. I can't really give it to her within the business, but my daughter loves her. Why doesn't she do the school pickup? Great. Win-win situation. And it worked for a while. But the problem is with this, it actually worked for a long while. So I don't want to talk it down too much, but the problem what I incurred, which I didn't anticipate, is when you come too close to someone, it's really hard to actually make tough decisions when they have to be made. It's really hard to reinforce rules. It's really hard to, for example, have to cut working hours if they have to be cut. It's really hard to say to someone, you didn't do that job to the standard expected. I need you to redo them because you have this personal attachment to them and it just becomes awkward. So this is the truth. The truth is, do not get attached to your employees. It doesn't make you a bad employer and it doesn't make you a bad leader to have this natural distance between you and your employees. That's the bottom line. And if you take anything from this episode today, I want you to take this from it because that will save you not only time, not only money, it will save you a lot of heartache. Because what it does, it affects your confidence as a leader and as a business owner. And that's the worst thing what can happen to you. So what are really the key things I want you to take from today's episode is, before you think about hiring, or if you are already hiring and thinking about adding to your team, get crystal clear on what you're hiring for. What is the actual role you are hiring for? Do you actually need that person? The other thing you really need to get clear on, don't hire cheap. You don't need 10 people in your team. Hire few, pay well, and let them do the job they're hired for. Don't overcompensate with being extra nice. And the other very, very important thing is, don't confuse qualifications with actual quality of an employee. Because on paper, everyone can look great, but actually mindset and attitude to the job is so much more important than a university degree. And before you start this journey of employing people, really document your processes. Know what you're hiring for. Know what your business setup is, what your processes are, what your strategies are, how do the systems work you're using and you want to hire someone to use them for. So how does it actually work? So you can really hire quality staff which help you grow your business rather than train yourself. So the truth is, you don't need a big team to grow your business. You need the right people at the right time with the right mindset. So let me give you a little bit of an example, what I mean with hiring quality staff. This podcast, for example, could I have done it on my own? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not dumb. I can figure it out, and I could do it myself. But I had a vision for this, and I decided to hire a team to do the recording, to do the scheduling, to do everything around it. So I can do what I'm good at, which is talk, and they can do what they're good at. And actually, making this decision made this podcast happen, because I wouldn't have done it. I would have still sat on it for ages, and I probably would have done it in a couple of years' time if I would have done it. So actually hiring out quality staff can make a big difference to your business growth. Thank you for listening to the Unshakeable Talks. And I've got a very, very special invitation for you today. On the 29th of November, I'm hosting a really special event in London. And this is not another networking event where you've been pitched to. So there's not a sales event dressed in sequence. This is an event where it's all about true connections and true collaborations for female entrepreneurs. And it is about celebrating yourself with people who understand what it means to go for the female entrepreneurship. This is not just a dinner. This doesn't just stop when the last cocktail has been drunk. This is part of my mission to bring together an exclusive group of women who are there to really collaborate and support each other. Head into the link into my show notes to purchase a ticket today.